Welcome to A7FL in motion. I'm Matt Ryan, and the A7FL playoffs threw off this past Sunday. The opening round in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals would see action all afternoon in the East Coast. The Baltimore Watchmen walked out with a win over the Patterson U. More on that game later, but our first of three games from Asbury Park, New Jersey saw the number one seeded Trenton BIC take on the 8th seeded New Jersey Hawks in Asbury Park, New Jersey, as Sterry Codrington is looking to go to his second straight and his third total A7FL title game. In motion kicks off with a look at our Eastern playoffs. The BIC and the Hawks open things up in round one, and later in the hour we'll go through the near instant classic between the Renegades and the Crush, and the Heathens getting wave raced by the Animals. But before anything else, the Baltimore Watchmen are the first team to move on in the A7FL Eastern Conference playoffs. They got the win over the Patterson U and Quattrell Huffin in an epic performance we hope to have more on next week in Motion, coming out of there with a 32-31 victory. Did Baltimore at home. More on that next week as we go to the BIC and the Hawks. Trey Robinson, in his second season in a BIC uniform, getting the first touchdown of the afternoon. He has been such an important weapon for Sterry Codrington in the backfield and also on defense. Codrington, though, making it happen on defense, picking off Corey Hammond, and the man who's thrown no picks behind center this year takes a pick six to the house, making it 12-0 in the latter third of our first period. And we go deeper now into the start of our second quarter. Robinson one more time. Just the burst of speed and the power, shoving that man down into the turf, making him one with the pellets. Let's look again here on the replay. Just watch Robinson here. Sir, sit down. Sends him, called Robinson the maitre d'. He gave that man a seat. A big first down for the BIC. Just showcasing you can beat him land, sea, or air with this offense. And Codrington getting it underneath to Campbell, and from more than 40 yards out the block by K-Wack. Marka Gilly getting the stop, and what a play there from Kason Campbell, who's been making a case for MVP. Another man aside from Codrington and Campbell making an MVP case. Ashante Worthy takes this to the house, and the man called Hollywood, the man wearing number 2, proving that he is still a number 1 threat in this league. Campbell and Worthy have gotten it together, and here's Worthy throwing it to Campbell on the extra point. A little rainbow from the former Mr. Football in New Jersey. Hammond now midway through the second quarter gets picked off by H3 Frazier, and H3 putting on the roller skates and gliding and sliding, rolls, bounces into the end zone. Hammond couldn't get him, but the flip, the flop, and the fly didn't stick the landing, but put 6 on the board. The BIC were leading 31-6 after a touchdown from Delron Simmons, and that is Codrington to Campbell one more time, making one man miss, making 2 men miss, and getting it into the end zone to, in the latter stage of the third quarter, increase this lead to 37-6. What an emphatic performance from the main players, the core 4 that we've seen from this BIC offense. You see 3 of them right there. Trey Robinson, Kason Campbell, and Ashante Worthy having a day. Let's look again at the replay. You had Robinson at the bottom of your screen, Worthy in the slot. Worthy gets that from Campbell. Campbell just at the 20, finds the seam and glides right on in. Evades one tackle, excuse me, sir, huss, like Rob Fabian would like to say. Glides, strides, and increases the lead for the BIC as the number 1 seed, proving why they are the number 1 seed. Walking out of here on the extra point one more time. Worthy to Campbell, making it 38-6 as the BIC would take the victory and lock in as the number 1 seed and continue that home field advantage into the next round of the playoffs. Your final score would be 38-12. As a sign of respect, the Hawks walking out of the playoffs for the 2025 season. But folks, we are not done with what is ahead in the A7FL playoffs. We talked about it before. The Watchmen defeated the Patterson U in their matchup down in Baltimore. But folks, the bracket is going to get interesting. It is going to get wild in our Northeast Final Four. Right now, it's the BIC, the 1 seed, the Watchmen, the 3 seed. But we will explain a little bit later on who will be filling out the other sides of this bracket for when we return with the Eastern Conference semifinals on June 1st. One team looking to be there, the Silk City Animals. Can Manny Diaz and David Tender keep this momentum rolling? When we return, we take a look at the wrecking ball that was the Silk City Animals offense and how this man, David Tender, the leading rusher in the A7FL and a top candidate to be MVP, didn't even get involved. More on their matchup with the Heathens and what's next in the playoffs after this. The 2 and the 4 seed in the West facing off as we continue here on A7FL in motion. The handoff gets things moving for Sick With It. They lead 6-0. Early portion of the second quarter now. Your score remaining 6-0. Sick With It in control. The handoff, and again, the rushing attack of this Sick With It team. Just shoved that man into the ground. Might as well have planted him there like daisies. But here on the 3-on-1 return, the Gold proving that they can strike at any time. Slip, slide, wave, bye. You can see more like this at a7fl.com/watch. The Gold on the board. We take a look again at the replay. Made that first man miss, and if you're going up against any team left in these playoffs, you're going to need your 3-on-1 returns to be on point. And then Branch off the pick. Another opportunity for this Sick With It defense to eat, and eat they do, making the lead even more insurmountable as the Gold get the loss. And now to Insomniacs, they get the touchdown early against the Hunters. 6-0 lead. Snoop at quarterback gets brought down. The ball falls out like a loose bag and slip slide. Take it to the house, this Insomniacs defense. AJ McQuaig in prime time making it happen and continuing to feast and beast. You see the replay here. Just a complete decimation. The Insomniacs are still the team they were last season, but they've gotten better. They've added more weapons, and the weapons that come back like Eric Shuford, much like Devontae Carter, the weapons continue to show out. The Insomniacs leading in the first 36-0. That is a bonkers situation you see here from the super wide, because you got to see the whole offense. Hamilton steps up, tosses it back, keeps it live, and slip slide somehow, some way. This broken play, like a broken marriage, finds a way to survive, carries the pill to get it to 56-0 first down there, but they set up the score. Continuing now, prime time, slip, slide, and they just make it look too easy out there. Too easy is the philosophy. The Insomniacs continue to roll, and they get the final 78-0 over the Hunters, who are knocked out of the 2025 Nevada Knockout. They have been eliminated following this loss, and losing all their other games, they have not been able to make it. Let's take a look at the bracket, as it will be the Insomniacs taking on the Gold and Sick With It taking on the Stealth. Those are your final four for June 1st out west. What will happen? We will find out. Our second round matchups will be the Insomniacs and the Gold, and if I'm the Gold, I'm preparing that 3-on-1 team for whatever, and I'm battening down the hatches because the Wolves are hunting. You saw that in their last performance, and you've seen it all season. No matter the opponent, the defending champs are ready for whatever is in front of them. And if I'm the Gold, I am just hoping that Jeremiah Reeves has the game of his life next week, and we'll have more about that matchup on A7FL in Motion next week in our semifinal preview. But Sick With It and the Stealth, both of these teams have tried to make a case for being the number 2 team out west. June 1st, these two teams have faced off before, and Sick With It got the pounce on them. Now with a shot in the Final Four, the national semifinals on the line, will the Stealth prove the hype that they've been trying to build all season? We'll find out next week. Need our top 4 Eastern teams in Divine Eps and the Silk City Animals, looking to make it a real easy choice as they run it in for the touchdown to set the trend and momentum. There we see one of the Santista Bonds. Is he going to do it? He's going to do it. Hi, how are you? Just a polite little wave. And then CJ Johnson, a man who stepped up in place of David Tender, having an MVP caliber performance himself, the former Boston College product, showing up, showing out, showing he's still got some moves. The veteran, the OG, showing up and showing out next drive for the Animals. It'd be another opportunity for Divine Eps to get into the end zone. But here comes Mitchell of the Virginia Heathens, formerly of the Octane, getting the stop, but looking to walk this off in the first. Johnson with time, sets up, throws it, and gets it to Kasim Perry as KP would make this a 2-score lead at the end of our first 15. And him alongside Omari Thomas, who has made every team who didn't pick him up in the offseason feel sorry. But a little bit later on in the second, Virginia once again going 3 and out, and it's a throw-off that has to be a punt so it can bounce out of play, but this bounces, stays in play, and then another opportunity. Vega Rodriguez slips, slides, takes this one right to the house as the Animals make it a 3-score lead. And we're just 18 minutes or so into this game, and this team really showing up for each other. This has been a real interesting, real lively sideline, and it's because of that man right there. And there's David Tender. He was dressed but did not play, but the Animals are feeling this momentum. This team that a season ago were barely under 500 and lost in the playoffs twice, now look like one of, if not the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. And you just see this returning. Oh, good Lord. Patrick Dean's beautiful hair meeting the pellets of the turf at Asbury Park Stadium, as this would increase to a 3-score lead just to get, that is a not top 10, but something for the Huss files. Is one more time. Oh, good Lord. Feeling like Kelsey Grammer on stage, or an anchor at a wine smushing convention. You're going to hit hard, and you're not going to enjoy it. And the Heathens not able to get anything going on offense. The Animals, though, Johnson under pressure, gets this pass off somehow, and then it's just a day at the races. Waving him down, Omari Thomas runs it on in, somehow stays in bounds, and leaves the cameraman and the defenders befuddled, making it 28-0. A little bit later on in the half, they would throw that play out. They wouldn't call it a touchdown, so the Animals are right. Okay, bet. We'll just run it in another way. Just make them all look foolish. You don't want to give us the highlight touchdown that way? We'll get it the other way. Big touchdown as the Animals continue to put on a preponderance of points. And CJ Johnson orchestrating this offense to perfection. We see again on the replay just the ability to create that running lane. Has a defender almost hip to him, and just being able to keep his feet in bounds. He loses the hat, loses the kufi, but does not lose the momentum, is able to shake the remaining 2 defenders and make this a 4-score lead. 4th and 10. There's another opportunity. Cuts through, cuts the seam, and cuts the heart out of their opponents. A big play, another touchdown, another player on this Animals offense getting burned as they continue, the Silk City Animals, to inflict their will. And Johnson just quick little throw, No one was there. The Baltimore special paying off for Silk City on a day where the Watchmen advance and the Virginia Heathens find out what happens when you try to burn all the boats and walk into Asbury Park. It'll be a long swim down I-95 for the Heathens, and at some point, Rookie of the Year candidate at tight end and defensive end, Isaiah IG Live Gonzalez, was in at quarterback, and then he decides to pull a David Tender. He keeps it. He'll come in third in the annual David Tender lookalike contest and get the first down with under a minute remaining in the half. This team, guys, was having fun, and it felt like, and I made mention to this to Corey Hammond, it felt like these old Patterson U teams from 2021, the 2022 BIC team, where at any position, they have killers. They have guys who can make it a long day if you don't have a stout defense, if you don't game plan for all 7 players on the field. It is going to be a long day at the office, and then Gonzalez continues to keep it, continues to make it happen, and gets the extra point as they would make it 36-0 here in the second quarter. Quarter, not half, quarter. 7 would have been enough, but 35 could have been the capper at the end of our first half, but the Silk City Animals would have a voracious appetite for points. Ryan Burrows not in the lineup for Virginia as they would fall 53-0 in the Heathens' first season in the A7FL. Goes out with a massive loss, but a lot of potential there if this Heathens team can continue to build off of its base. But when it comes to the upper echelon of this league, the Heathens proven they are not ready for prime time. 3/4 of the bracket set in the Eastern Conference. The BIC will play the winner of the Renegades and the Crush. More on that in a moment. But in our National Game of the Week spotlight next week, it's going to be the Animals taking on the Watchmen. And when we return here on A7FL in Motion, we'll fill out the bracket in the Eastern Conference. Action continues on A7FL in Motion. Keno Thomas, late in the second quarter, would break the tie and be the first on the board as they face the East Orange Renegades for a shot in the Eastern semifinals. Then on the extra point, bing, bang, bong. It is another big play from this Crush offense, but Kyle Ward, the drive killer, the dream killer, the man who breaks down 3-on-1 defenses. My goodness, the man couldn't get up after that. Slip, slide, he takes it to the house, makes it a 1-point game. Could not get the extra, and on a later drive for the Renegades in the third quarter, Service gets it to Kyle Ward. Ward with his second touchdown of the game. Would not be done there, but would give the Renegades their first lead of the game midway through our third quarter, making it 12-7. So much can be said about Kyle Ward's effectiveness. But here on the extra point, well, a little bit later on, Keno Thomas got it into the end zone, was denied on an earlier play, but was able to get it into the end zone, and that man haunted my dreams all week. But Keno Thomas was haunting the Renegades defense. Then on the extra point, to increase their lead, they find a way to get in there. Utilizing the big man at quarterback on the extra points, Q Vaughn, making it drop there 14-12. But with 2:26 left in the third, there's that man again, Kyle Ward, finding the sideline, finding the camera. We could call it the Kyle Ward cam today because he earned it. Ran it right into the end zone, his third tutty of the day, his second on a return, making it 18-14 with 2:26 left to go in the third. Service, who has been up and down during the latter half of this regular season, stepped up, found the player, but they could not hold on to the ball. Bateson again on the championship points, some dropped balls here, some missed opportunities. 18-14 early in the fourth. Thomas to the end zone, cannot get it there on fourth down A huge stop by this Renegades defense. Renegades would get the ball back. Service. Finds it. Gets it to the big man, DeAndre Haynes, who pinballs his way into the end zone to extend the lead for the Renegades. But down and not out, Keno Thomas throws this one. Demetrius Hall somehow, someway makes the catch. No, it was a pick, but it would be called incomplete. That play would get turned into a pass interference and save the Crush from falling to a similar fate as the Hawks and getting knocked out of the playoffs. Let's see this again. It's a 50-50 ball, but the call comes through with it, and that one would be a saving grace for this Crush offense. You see the flag, and right there, the Renegades would find themselves up 10, but against a surging Crush, and then the defense would try to shut the door, but Vaughn to Demetrius Hall, and Demetrius Hall on the broken play would give them new life with 3:36 left to go in regulation. A lot going up against this Crush team in this game, and in this situation, they score the touchdown. Hall puts points on the board. Number 15, Demetrius Hall, a talented receiver. These Crush guys were over the moon that they were back in this one. And just somehow, someway, Keno Thomas able to hand that ball off. And then the big man, seeing the opportunity, sees Hall in front of him, pops it up on a prayer. And somehow, someway, Hall had no one in front of him, nothing behind him but the end zone. And got this to being a close game. They cut the score down. They went for the extra point here. They get it to Vaughn. Vaughn gets it over to Hall. Hall gets his own extra point. Makes it 21-24 with 3:36. And you see the body language of this Renegades team. Missed championship points have gotten us here on both sides of the ball, but making it 21-24. Vaughn, just an epic performance, a gutsy performance from this Crush team, going up against a Renegades team that was the stingiest in scoring in the A7FL. And then Kyle Ward has 2 touchdowns so far on the day returning, but with the pressure on him and the get back at play, the Crush step up and keep him behind the 20. Keeping him behind the 20-yard line, not making the forward progress needed, and the get back makes a big statement here in the A7FL playoffs, the first one of the 2025 playoffs, as Kyle Ward, his 2 other touches leading to touchdowns. But we see here again on the replay, he needs to make forward progress past the 20. He goes at the 20, goes back himself to evade the defender, and then ends up getting tackled at the 16, 17-yard line. It doesn't matter where he's tackled. They set up at the 50. 4th and 7. Last chance for the Crush. Last chance for Thomas, and he is brought down. And the East Orange Renegades grab victory from the jaws of defeat, and the QC Crush and the city of Cincinnati have another early exit in the A7FL playoffs, but this one, a valiant effort. But when you have the big bodies on that East Orange Renegades defense coming after you, there is not a lot of options, and at that point, it's sit down, be humble time. But this Crush team next season will have a lot to look forward to, but the Renegades look forward to another week of life in the A7FL playoffs, and they get the win, the final score being 24-21. The Renegades barely scraping out the win against the Crush. Here's where things stand in the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Renegades and the BIC make up one half of the Final Four. The other 2 are the Silk City Animals and Baltimore Watchmen. That one will be our 4 p.m. game when we join you on June 1st from Asbury Park Stadium in Asbury Park, New Jersey. What will happen when David Tender returns healthy against a very vigilant Watchmen defense? who will be at quarterback. But folks, the BIC and the Renegades, the last time these two teams played, it was in week 1. It went to overtime. Can the Renegades, against a fully staffed BIC team, bring that kind of chin check again? We're going to find out on June 1st. Also on June 1st, the second and third seeded teams, the Stealth and Sick With It, will go at it. Will Sick With It find themselves in a third straight Final Four? We'll find out. And then the Insomniacs and the Gold. Which team will move on? Can the Insomniacs continue another perfect season? For all of us here at the A7FL, we say thank you. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. We know we will. We will be back with playoff football, winner go home football next week. We give you a playoff preview as we go in motion.